Yes. Here we go. Hello, everybody. This is again the IOTA Community Governance. We have our Thursday meeting, meaning that we are talking about the Shimmer governance framework. And we have our action group here. So basically, we are mostly trying to move forward with the Shimmer governance framework document. We'll, of course, give a little recap of all the stuff that has been decided over the last couple of days, because we had a meeting on Tuesday. We had a kind of small meeting on Monday. We also had a meeting on Friday. Basically, kind of feels like we have meetings every day to basically get this framework and to get this decision-making process for the Shimmer network ready for all of you out there. And so I just told it to the group, I'm super, super happy about the contributors here that really spend so much of their private time in this really important community work. I mean, I'm getting paid for that. That's the cool thing. But you guys are really the rock stars here, because kind of showing up like 2, 3 times a week for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, sometimes our meetings, that's absolutely great. And I just really want to thank all of you for bringing this thing really, really forward. And yeah, that's pretty important for. This is how community work should look like. Yeah. We have same agenda actually as always. We should shortly again do a little recap of the decisions that have been taken in the last meeting, so that everybody that is coming now is a bit up to date. And then I'd say we continue working through the open questions and see what we can finalize today and put under the currently decided umbrella and move on from this. We have still our process for all of you out there. So the Shimmer governance framework will have 3 phases. The phase 1 is an ideation and discussion phase where people can propose ideas, pretty open and without a lot of rules. You can basically go into discussion with the community in the governance forum, get input from all kind of people. You can change your proposal. You can have polls there and whatever, but there's no real requirements, no time frames or things like this. You use this as a phase of really getting into the details and making a proposal that really is votable and defined, so that it can put basically to the next phase, which would be phase 2, which is basically only a temperature check on the proposed finalized version of your idea with a poll. And if this poll fulfills certain requirements, it then can be moved into a vote in the Firefly wallet by all token holders. And this basically will then be a binding decision that will be implemented in the network if the Firefly vote is successful. So this is basically what we are working on here all the time. We have a pretty intensively worked on document. The links are here. The links are also in the Discord channels. We also have a question document where we collect all the open questions and all the notes and the discussion points that we have. So this is basically where we work with and where we structure our work. And we had, like I said, we had a couple of meetings since the last bigger call. We had one on Tuesday and on Monday. And this is just taken from JD's and I also think from Lino's meeting notes that they published on the Discord. So last time we did decisions about some framework questions about the roles of the moderators and the admins. Basically, everybody agreed on the things that we have stated in the document to process this for now. Then the final phase of phase 3 proposals that we also agreed that they only have going to be an announcement basically that a vote will happen, and then they will get an own thread in the Discord where this announcement is logged. They will not be auto-generated because this is not possible, but this will be then done by a moderator or by me or by Antonio. Or we can also give the rights to our discourse forum moderators that they can also create the threads in Discord. We can set this up. The category structure of the forum has also been defined, and I have set up a test space in the forum where I did put in the structure as we have talked about it there. And so we can then later on talk about what we're going to do with this test space and stuff like that. So this is also basically in the moment solved. We had then an extra meeting, I think it was on Monday or on Friday, about the trust levels. And this is a function in discourse in the forum where you can fine grain and define that not everybody always and automatically has the same rights. Yeah, and so this should make it a bit harder for people to create a lot of anonymous accounts and multi-accounts and use them to influence the polls in the forum. Yeah? Either then we know that the forum polls will never be 100% Sybil protected because it's a good protected forum, but there might be people that get through some loops there, but still for normal users it should be accessible. But for trolls and others that actually don't want to contribute in a positive way, there should be some boundaries and some difficulties to basically influence polls. And so there has been some requirements set that we will only allow discourse members with the trust level 1 to participate in the polls there, and they have some specific requirements. I think we agreed to they need to have read 3 posts, and they have to have read this post for minimum 45 minutes. And one point I was just figuring out today that I think you also defined that they have to edit or they have to create 3 posts. I just wanted to ask basically if this was really intentional or if there was kind of a misunderstanding. Because basically this means they would first need to write 3 posts before they are trust level 1.
No, it was what I remember we went over was it's 3 enters into topics.
Mm-hmm.
So literally you just that, like, let's say Kpi says, I want to, my topic is hold on, buddy. I want to upgrade the supply. Hold on, buddy. I'll let you this out. I'm going to upgrade the supply by 20%. So you just enter that topic, 3 different ones, and then read 3 different replies within a topic, and then spend an aggregated 45 minutes total.
I think
exactly, yeah. Entering a topic basically just means clicking on that, because if you click on a topic, it also remembers like where you were last at, and it also keeps on track for you how many unread replies you have, which is actually really cool.
Yeah.
And entering a topic basically just means reading a topic. So
are we sure that this is set up like that? Discourse is doing it like that? We will try this out. I'm not sure if
so Antonio actually brought up within discourse those actual variables,
Yeah.
and we were confused about that too, whether it was entering a topic or writing a topic,
Hmm.
and we really looked into it, and it was definitely entering
Yeah.
a topic and then reading a post and then
Hey,
spending the time.
cool.
Mhm.
Great. That's
Yeah,
actually
so it
great.
should. I mean,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
No, that's nice because I wasn't aware that basically it's even logging it like that because then it's really cool. Yeah. I thought I was also confused and I thought it means basically creating 3 own topics, which would be maybe a bit too much, but entering and scrolling down and reading it, that's basically really good. Yeah.
yeah, and I
we
definitely think
decided.
that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Andy.
We decided that basically if we were gonna have people create new topics to get membership,
Yeah.
that just essentially creates a reason for spam,
Yes.
and we don't need that.
Yeah, yeah.
But we definitely went over what does enter a new topic mean.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very
we
good.
also confirmed that it works this way because the default is 5,
Yeah.
and there's actually a threshold for trust level 0 people in terms of how many replies and posts they can write before
Right.
reaching trust level
Yes.
1.
Yeah.
And it acts as a spam protection, so you can't like post
Yeah.
just reply to every tweet, to every thread automated and say, hey, check my new scam here.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's nice. That's really good that you cleared this up. So that's pretty cool. We should definitely go with this.
Yeah, and
Wait,
just to note on that, we discussed having sort of like a Discord reputation
Yeah.
being where you can skip trust level 0. And yes, Discord works very well with discourse.
Hmm.
However, we looked into what other kind of media platforms, Reddit, Telegram, Twitter, there really isn't any integration at present time.
Yeah.
So rather than only segregating it and allowing the Discord community but no one else, we thought, let's just make it within discourse. And then
Yeah.
as time goes on, we might get a proof of reputation system. Maybe we'll start seeing more integrations with Twitter, Sooniverse, Discord. And when I think there's a more fair balance proof of reputation, then we could start implementing that.
Hmm.
And then as well as discourse offers subsequent levels, you could do trust level 2, trust level 3. But
Yeah.
in the beginning, we want something that doesn't make it too difficult for participation because we know DAOs have difficulty getting participation from the community.
Yep.
We just want something that limits a bit of spam, and also those that are voting, it's not so easy just to make a ton of bots go in and vote your proposal up. So I
Yeah.
think it's a good default starting point, and just to know that as we get active and we start seeing some data, if we see a lot of spam, we can adjust these trust levels. As
Yes.
better proof of reputation systems come in, we can integrate those as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
So this is just a starting point.
Yeah, yeah. The spam protection is also, and I'm observing this daily. So currently, I think we have 103 users that have made it into trust level 1 from trust level 0. I mean, we had a lot of influx of new users in the last 3 months since we had the forum, and we have kind of 250 trust level 2 users. These are basically a lot of the IOTA Foundation people and the researchers that used the forum before. But from the new people, I think we had like 400 or 500 new members over the last 3 months. I think kind of, yeah, 80 or 90 have made it now to trust level 1. These are the ones that have been reading posts and spending time in the forum actually. Yeah. That's really nice to see this metric actually developing over the time, especially the more we use the forum and the more we get used to it. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. To come back, also the first 50 people to join would have gotten trust level 1 automatically. That's like an onboarding in
Yeah.
discourse. Unless Antonio turned that off, I don't know.
But this was
And
probably 3-4 years ago when the forum was opened, because
yeah,
yeah.
also the initial requirements, the default ones, they're lower. It's only reading for 10 minutes, but you have to read
Yeah,
more
yeah.
posts and
Yeah, we have
stuff.
already, I have set this all up already with the required numbers now. So this is basically the 100 people are based on reading 3 posts and spending 45 minutes with reading. And
Okay.
yeah, and the editing or entering 3 posts I changed after I read it this week. So this is now also since Monday, I think, implemented that you also need to enter 3 posts for the trust level 1.
Do these trust levels also have to do with like being able to put up polls and stuff, or is that something different?
It is there are limits. So basically, if you are trust level 1, you are only allowed to put up a certain amount of topics per day. But polls, basically everybody can put up a poll. That's not an issue. There is no, because polls is kind of an additional functionality in this course. It's not a base functionality. It's like an add-on. So it's not basically regulating the poll creation. So everybody can do a poll.
So would it
Yeah.
be, and I guess I would have thought it would be that you can't create a topic unless you're trust level 1. Like you have to spend that time before you could create a topic or vote in
This
phase 2.
It's
can be set up, yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's set to 0 right now, but as of the action group, we came up with that it should be trustable 1 because there should not this reaching trust level 1 after I does not require any actual interaction in the forum like liking or posting. You just have to read for that. So it's actually pretty simple, and that was also one reason why we didn't thought about transferring reputation manually. So we say like,
Yeah.
hey, there's Rob, and I know him from this and the server. He's definitely trustful, because actually within 45 minutes he would be a trustable 1 anyway, and it's not really
Right.
worth the effort.
Yeah. No,
Right.
that's
So
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
So just to define trust level 2 quickly, because somebody talked about it. Trust level 2 would essentially be you have to visit the forum on 15 separate days, not in a row, just 15 days where you entered the forum. And I think there was something like you need to do a few posts and
I can
get a like.
I can
That
show
was
you basically.
yeah,
Do you see my screen? Yeah.
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 There's
So the requirements for trust level currently are set to blah 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 blah. So trust level 1 is this enter 3 posts, read 3 posts, 45 minutes. Trust level 2 would then require you have entered.
and I have to go. Sorry.
Okay, no problem, Werner. See you. Yeah, so for trust level 2, you would need to enter 20 topics. You have read 100 posts, and you spend 60 minutes time, and you have 15 days visited the forum, and you have also received a like, and you have given a like, and you have replied to 3 topics. And trust level 3 and trust level 4 is always kind of adding more features and increasing these numbers basically. Yeah. So I think we only have
Just
yeah.
and just to note, trust level 2, 3, and 4 doesn't give you anything more than trust level 1 now.
It
We're just showing.
only gives you small stuff that you basically can. I think trust level 3 users can flag a post by another user as suspicious and stuff like this. But like, it only gives you Yeah, basically a few stuff you can make. You can create an own wiki page about yourself and stuff like that. So it's not really something essential there. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think for the framework aspect, as we get activity and start seeing how really the things interact and people in the community interacts with it, then we can start looking at how to integrate trust level 2, 3, and 4
Yeah.
and whatnot. So,
Yeah, if we come closer to that, this is along the way,
right.
we can always adjust this. What else?
Right.
We had quantifying method to pass a proposal that it should meet the guiding principles and 50 likes in phase 1. Or we also then specified that it should be 50 likes, or if the post has a poll, then it will need 50 votes in the poll. Yeah. And the 100 likes for no 100 likes, basically no 100 votes for phase 2, yeah, because phase 2 you're always gonna have a poll. Yeah, so I think also this
Yeah, that's
is something we can really good start with and see then if we need to adjust it along the way. One thing I did read this and I made some comments and already in the thing because we talked about this whole thing about what would happen if a phase 2 proposal, basically the poll says don't make any changes. And I was thinking about this because last time I said, I mean, in the end, you never know. Basically, only the consensus in the of the tokens will count. But I thought, what do we do if there's really a poll and we get 300 votes on it, and it's 100% votes make no changes? Should we really put something like this then up to a Firefly vote, or do we want to say something like, okay, if there's a poll in phase 2, it reaches enough participation and everything, and maybe we say make no changes option gets the double amount of votes than the other option. Should we then really put it to Firefly, or is it maybe enough to say, okay, there's a broad majority of all forum users that says basically nobody needs this change, yeah? So maybe this is something we need to discuss a little bit further. But I was just thinking really about this case, yeah? You have a poll with 100% against changing anything. Do we really need to put this into Firefly and ask again the community that very likely will also say, no, don't change anything?
I think for like governance, that could be fine. Like you're saying, like if it's like 75% or 80% not going to Firefly.
Mhm.
My only concern with that would be if I don't want to like extrapolate and
Yeah.
add to this, but if we go to the Treasury Committee with
Mhm.
some forms of the framework that we're building now, I was wondering if we have these trust levels, right? Could we
Mhm.
see that breakdown in the polls themselves? Like how many people with trust level 3 voted? How many
I
people with trust
think,
level?
I think there is an option in the poll. You can set the poll to show voters. So basically that it would be public. I don't know if it would, we have to test this in the test space. Either it would be public that shows basically, okay, these persons have voted, but not what did they vote. This I think would be important, but basically there is an option that you can publicly see who of the forum users did participate in the poll. And then you, of course, also would see how many people with trust level 1, how many people with trust level 2 or 3 did participate in the poll.
You see where I'm going with this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. This is stuff that we basically really we have to test this. We have to really go through a few things in the test space and basically see what actually will be the outcome and how can we fine tune these things.
Hey, Philo, so I went to the forum as a mod that you set up the test space,
Yeah.
right? And I was thinking maybe it would be a good idea to do screenshots of putting a proposal through all the steps and all the different ways that it could go,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. We
And
need a
then
guide,
like a
basically.
like a slideshow or something,
Yeah.
or maybe even a video, like or do
Yeah.
both,
Well,
and then
I
present
think
it to the
I think
community.
definitely we'll need to. I have this already planned because I want to write a governance guide also for the wiki. Yeah, I want to write a guide similar like I did it for the Firefly wallet and those things with screenshots and real kind of really arrows and stuff and really graphical showing basically. Okay, click here, do this, do that. A guide basically for voters or like for participators. Okay, you want to participate in the forum, that's how you do it. And another guide definitely we need for, okay, you have an idea and you want to propose something. Here is a step-by-step guide how you put up a proposal in phase one, how you put up a proposal in phase two, and basically what you need to do then to make it up into Firefly. So this is definitely on my agenda to make a real good and nice looking guide for that, and also a video walkthrough that we put on YouTube and the people can really watch. Okay, phase one, 5 minutes. This is how you do it, yeah, or 3 minutes or whatever. We're definitely gonna
Yeah,
do this.
that would be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Because otherwise we
So
need
and
stuff
also,
like this. Yeah.
and also we because our 3 topics to enter is a requirement for trust level 1.
Yeah.
We need 3 topics right on day 1 for people to enter, and part of that I think
Yes.
we discussed that has to be, hey, this is the forum. Basically, what you're going to do in the wiki
Mhm.
would also be a topic showing everyone how to submit,
Yeah.
vote, how you get from trust level 0 to trust level 1, etc. But I also wanted to comment on your thing about if 100% vote in phase 2 says do nothing.
Mhm.
But I think if we logically think of that, if truly the 100% of the community does not support this proposal, then it really wouldn't move out of phase 1 into
Yeah.
phase 2. So the odds that something's going to get 50
Ah,
votes in phase 1 to phase 2 is slim to none
w-
almost
we
statistically.
haven't defined
So
which kind of votes. If it gets 50 no votes in phase one, it can still go to phase two. You see what I mean?
we could certainly adjust that,
Yeah.
and that's almost like, and maybe we adjust that. Maybe we find likes is better even with a vote. But
Yeah.
I think in the sense of, when we had discussed that, you said in other DAOs generally,
Yeah.
if they'll pass it up to Firefly, and my only concern is that Firefly is essentially trusted in a sense that it can't be gamed, where Discourse
Yeah.
really could be. I mean, if someone really, really wanted to, they could game it. I don't know if they could game it 100% statistically, but I mean, I
Yeah.
guess we could set a parameter of 100% in phase 2. That
Yeah,
would
maybe
probably
something
be
like this. Maybe really we
extremely
say,
rare, but
okay, there is not a single vote for doing this. Then, yeah, if there is one vote for, then maybe that's a
or
little bit too complex. Yeah.
what if we set that if someone in phase 1 does a poll,
Yeah.
even if they do a multi-option poll, a multi-solution poll,
Mhm.
they still have to include do nothing.
Yeah.
And if over 80 or 90%, whatever is this better statistical number,
Yeah.
is do nothing, and it wouldn't move on to phase 2.
Yeah. Even if it has enough engagement and
Right.
thing. But if the engagement is clearly say, okay, sorry, my friend, this is just a super stupid idea. Nobody wants it. Yeah, here you have your poll.
Right.
379 votes says no, and 22 say yes, or something. And it's like, sorry, kind of change
Well,
it, propose it again. Yeah.
the only thing about that I would be careful about
Mhm.
is the number, like
Yeah.
80%, 90% on phase 1,
Yeah.
is because if I made a proposal and let's say 80% was like don't change it, and then it never got to phase 2, I would kind of feel like, maybe it deserved a discussion
Yeah.
or some advocacy
Well,
before.
but let's not forget phase 1 is for discussion.
Yeah.
Let's look at it this way. Let's think of it. Let's say someone in phase 1 doesn't do a poll and they say, I want to give Kim Jong Rek admin status so he could jack it all up from the inside out, right? And and he did this in a discussion. He didn't put a poll, or she.
Mm-hmm.
Would that get 50 likes? Of course not, because people would be, well, let's not do that, right? Now, let's say that same person puts the same proposal, he or she, but they put A, make Kim Jong Un admin, or B, do nothing. Well, people would go, hell no, let's not do that. Let's
Yeah.
click do nothing. So do nothing is almost essentially the same as not clicking heart or like, right? So I think that's the difference. If we were just to use likes, then if someone actually wanted that proposal to move on to phase 2, they're clicking like. Yet if it's an option A, B, C, and then do nothing,
No,
the
like
do nothing option is essentially saying, I don't want this to move on to phase 2, or I'm not going to click like on this.
JG, like I agree with everything that you're saying. My whole thing is about engagement, right? So that if we start putting all these barriers on phase 1, I think a lot of people are just self-conscious, or they're kind of just concerned or worried about how people are gonna look at them, or you know what I mean? So if we
Well,
make it more,
I mean, I guess I don't, because phase 1 is for the engagement, the discussion. So someone puts up a topic
right?
and people discuss it. And if they like it and they go, great, great proposal, but I think this, how about this? How about we word the phase 2 polling this? And the person that submitted the proposal says, great, let's do that. And then, okay, boom, I'm going to start a new topic. You guys like it. If we get 50 likes, we move on to phase 2. Boom, it goes on to phase 2. Versus someone says, hey, what about this proposal? And people are like, that's kind of stupid. And that's kind of spam. And that's kind of like spec shit. Like, let's not move that on to phase 2. I'm not going to like it. Whereas now you set this parameter of a polling, and there's no method in the polling to show people don't want this to go on. So if they do set B, don't put this on to phase 2, and people click that, and you get 50 clicks, it's going on to phase 2, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's essentially gaming the process in phase 1. Now, phase 2 is kind of totally different, because anything that gets to phase 2 should have made it through sort of the spam filter. So
I'm getting confused. In phase 1, it can get 50 likes, but then there's a disproportionate of dislikes, then it can't get to phase 2.
There is no dislikes, basically.
No.
So you're saying?
Let's say this. Let me explain this. Let's combine the likes and the votes in one thing. I put a proposal that's shitty, that's just sucks, and it's just like for spam. It's just bullshit. And I have option A, submit this proposal to phase 2. Option B, do not submit this proposal to phase 2. Now, no one likes this proposal because it's bullshit. It's spam. It's just total bullshit. So no one clicks like. It doesn't get 50 likes. But at the same time, people are like, this is bullshit. It's spam. Don't put it on to phase 2. So they click, don't go to phase 2. Well, it's going to get 50 votes. It doesn't get 50 likes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see.
Right.
And if you have the 50 votes, it moves to phase 2. This basically what we're doing. So basically, I think it might be really a good idea to say, okay, if a poll in phase 1 gets amount X no votes, basically, then it doesn't move on to phase 2. But of course, the person can change the thing, can resubmit this thing in a different form, and then the people may say, oh yeah, cool, now you changed stuff. Okay, let's put it up to phase 2. That sounds more reasonable. We support it. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good, actually.
Every poll in phase 1 should have a do nothing. And I think that's a pretty good foundational framework for the polling.
Yeah.
And but in that, so let's say now we've got 400 votes, and 300 votes are pass this to phase 2, and 100 votes are do nothing. If the majority of votes are pass it to phase 2, then it should go on,
Absolutely.
regardless if it's over 50 or not.
Absolutely.
Now,
that was my point. Is what happens if it gets 50 likes, but then it gets 100? Don't go to phase 2. Because we said that if it gets 50 likes.
See, the likes and the votes kind of makes it a little complicated, but if it gets 50 likes, to me, that's people saying, let's pass this on to phase 2. So I think it should.
No, wait, not the likes. I'm sorry. I mean, in the poll, if one of the options is, phase 1, go to phase 2, and one of the options is don't go to phase 2, and go to the phase, the positive. I'm getting confused. Do you see my point?
No, I know what you're saying. You're saying if it goes on to phase 2 and gets 50 votes, but then gets 80 votes for don't go to phase 2, do you allow it or not? And I would say definitely allow it. So as long as the positive, if there's enough people that want this proposal to go to phase 2, such as 50, then it should go on, regardless of how many people click don't go.
So that 50 threshold overrides the don't go.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. Yeah.
The only time we wouldn't see it go is if it's like 35 votes go to phase 2, but 70 votes don't pass this on. Because again, that 50 number is sort of like, hey, we don't want someone creating multiple profiles, or at least make it kind of difficult for them. So maybe there's 25 votes. Maybe that person made 25 profiles, but they're like, fuck, I'm getting bored here. Let me just throw these on and hope I get 25 more people. But they don't, right? So 50 is like that threshold number. And then anything in phase 2, I think, again, that's your first line of defense on spam. So if it gets to phase 2 and people support it, it should go to Firefly. But again, kind of like what you said, like, again, does it get the engagement there? And I mean, if we saw a phase 2 proposal get 100% don't pass on to Firefly, I think we could definitely take a breather and look at that time. I think it's highly unlikely, but you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
And I would also say that there is a chance that some people might engage with something that is so stupid, like, we've seen the Tide Pod challenge, right? So like let's not underestimate the stupidity of masses together, but I also don't think that we're gonna have huge participation to a point that would actually do it in such a way. Like, if it's a really bad idea and people identify it as a really bad idea, I think that's fine. Like, it gets to the next stage and people are like, this is a bad idea, and then when we vote on it, it's a bad idea. Like, I'm not so. I think we're kind of worrying too much on a very unrealistic scenario.
But you know what could happen, Andy? My concern is in phase 1, right? 40 people say go to phase 2 so that it doesn't meet the threshold, but 60 people say don't go to phase 2. And those 60 people aren't considered engagement.
But no, if
right?
you
So
have,
it doesn't pass that.
this would mean this would mean you have 100 people in the vote. And this basically would also say that you are over the threshold. Yeah, so if you have a poll in phase 1, 60 say no and 40 say yes, then it's over the 50 threshold and it's going to phase 2.
But weren't we just saying that the don't pass won't count as engagement?
So hold on.
Okay, we
just
have
to clarify.
to.
I think hold on, because I think Philo's talking about phase 2 and Overclock. I think you're talking about phase 1. So in phase 1, you would need the 50 threshold, and again, we have to set some number, right, or else we are going to get spam. There's no doubt. There has to be some number set. Now we can adjust that if we find that 50 prevents engagement and participation, then certainly we can adjust that down. But we got to have a starting point somewhere, right? So this is not to say that it's set in stone, but yes, in that scenario, what you said, if a phase 1 person writes a vote and 40 people vote pass to phase 2 and 60 vote don't pass, then it would not go per that requirement. Now, that person could say, wow, there's 100 people engaged. They just didn't vote me. Okay, I'm going to pull my proposal. Like, basically, that goes to archive. They're going to resubmit, but not do a vote, rather go for 50 likes. Now, if they get 50 likes, goes on to phase 2. So, in phase 1, just because it doesn't get approved doesn't mean that person cannot turn around and 2 weeks later resubmit, or 1 week later, or 1 day. I'm not sure the timing on that, but they just get to turn around and adjust it. And actually, if that proposal was close, like it got 40 votes to go to phase 2, but not 50, like that's somewhat of a decent proposal because people like it. It just needs to be tweaked a bit. So that, I think that's a good thing, which that proposer then goes, and then in that engagement, again, phase 1 is for discussion, can go, hey, you 60 that didn't like this, why did you not like it? What could I do better? Well, how could I reword this? And then he or she can go and reword that. Now, if it's a spammer, they're not looking to reword it necessarily. They're just spamming. So that is a good limit on the first level of defense against spam, right?
Yeah, basically,
Does that make sense?
I think we have to write this out, write this down, to nail it. So because it sounds a bit confusing, but basically, I think it's a good point. We should write it down in the channel and maybe give some examples so that it gets clearer for everybody, and then come back to this again next week maybe. Should we? I checked. We have our open question list. Basically, I think a couple of those things here we can now basically put under solved already. Should we go through things and maybe clear out some stuff that we have now, I think, talked 2 or 3 times again already, and basically have figured it out?
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah. So from the top, we have this: how many voters does a phase 2 poll need to be successful? The participation. I think basically we have agreed on 100 votes for the start. Yeah.
Is there any objections to that within the group, or any comments or discussion points? If not, then I guess we could click that solve.
And like we said, this is all then under probation. Basically, it can be easy changed if we see it's a mess, the number. But I think for the start, to start with something, the 100 basically sounds reasonable. Yeah. Then we have the thing.
So on that point, actually,
Yeah.
let's just go on that point of sort of what can be changed or not.
Yeah.
And I think that is a question that we went over and discussed in our action meetings. But, to some extent, we want things that major changes, of course, need to be done through the community, through the framework.
Mhm.
But we kind of talked about, like, do we want to, if we're going to adjust the 50 to 60 in phase 1 or the 50 to 30 in phase 1, like, do we need to do a firefly vote? And we want to avoid a lot of firefly votes, because then also it can become like,
about
when people are participating, they're like, man, I don't want to vote on every little knick-knack thing.
on this administrative stuff. Yeah.
Right. So we discussed having like a 1 year, a 12-month probationary period where it would take a phase 2 vote. So doesn't mean that the mods and admin have carte blanche to start changing things. It's just that if they say, hey, we've seen a lot of spam come in, we think we need to raise phase 1 to 100 and 100 to 200, and this is why. Here's the data metrics of the spam for everyone to see. That goes from phase 1. If it gets the engagement, goes to phase 2. And then if it gets voted on in phase 2, then we make the adjustment.
Without putting it to
and it's
Firefly.
really,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. We have to write this. Whoever is doing the meeting protocol, please put it there, because basically I would like to put this also in the document as a. Then we can go through, write it out, and I'm also going to add it here in the open question thing, because this we will really need to put in which matrix can be adjusted and which one not. So this is something that we can talk about in the next meeting to define this exactly, I think. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
I can't take notes for this meeting. Is there someone that can?
Asa is here. Yeah, Asa.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking the notes.
Amazing.
Thank you, Asa.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Then we have this thing. Would another metric be more useful for a poll to move from phase 2 to phase 3, like a percentage of average polls and things like this? Basically, I've added a note here already. I think we we cannot decide this now in a moment because we don't have any experience and any metric at hand where we could say, okay, we have average engagement like this. I would basically like to put this solved but postponed. I think we should revisit this topic, like maybe after six months, if we have after we have seen stuff, yeah. Because basically now we would only put it out in the blue without any. We have no data there. Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed that basically when it comes to scalability.
Yeah.
150 might not be enough. And like if the ecosystem does a 10x, so might the governance participation. But again, the 50 and 100 is a starting point until we start seeing enough data to maybe make a dynamic requirement that adjusts with participation level.
We see.
So yeah, 6 month revisit would be great.
Or maybe after 5 or 6 poll circles or something like this. Now, basically, later I'll show you the calendar thing, because it's quite nice to have this. Basically, we're gonna have kind of seasons, yeah. So voting seasons, every month we're gonna have like two circles and stuff like this. So that's an interesting thing. I put it under solved, but we keep this in mind to definitely revisit after we have some experience how the whole thing works, yeah. Then the exclusion matrix to move from phase 1 to phase 2. What is required to deny a phase 2 poll because it is considered spam? I think basically this is what we talked about. The 50 votes are likes, but I think we keep it still open because we are not yet clear now with this new thing if a poll, what we just talked about. So I wouldn't close this now. Yeah, we can revisit this. Yeah.
And also that it meets the guiding principles.
Yeah.
Which I found interesting that Aave also uses guiding principles as their sort of first line of criteria non-conformance.
Of get the spam away. It's not related to anything that is actually people cannot vote on your idea. So that's it. No, sorry, we won't approve it. Put it in Discord, yeah, or in whatever, yeah.
Right. Which going back to like, Kim Jong becomes an admin and destroys it from the inside, like we would then say, unfortunately that doesn't support the positive, development of the ecosystem. So I think that with the 50, it will be rare that we'll
You wouldn't even need to say this. You could just say, no, it's not possible for the community to vote who's going to be an admin in the forum. We have defined that this is decided by the IF, so there's no reason to bring up a discussion about this. Yeah, bang. Could argue much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we have rules for the moderators and admins, then that also should be in there. But yeah, I think we still need to do an action meeting on guiding principles. I think
absolutely,
and maybe we can do that next week sometime. Maybe Friday next week. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Then should a poll or a vote end up in a binary yes or no option? I think also we still need to talk a little bit more about this. I just thought about this in the morning when I went through the document. Basically, And I had actually an idea to say, because we have this trouble of if you have a phase 2 poll and then you have people want to have a multiple choice and a ranked, and then you will have to make another phase 2 poll after 7 days if you don't get this and this. And I thought about, why don't we go like this and say, okay, you can do in phase 1 all kind of polls and all kind of multiple and 12 different options and ranked choice and whatever you like. Do this in phase 1 as often as you like to nail down basically your proposal to a binary choice or to like 2 options. And then if you are there, then you put it in phase 2. This would basically avoid the trouble that you have in phase 2, this run of polls and all these things. We could move this all to phase 1.
The only issue with that is like for people that are busy, and I using myself as an example, other than moderation, which of course I'll put my time in moderating. But I think there's a lot of people that aren't going to be focusing on phase 1 proposals, but when they get dinged in Discord, hey, there's a phase 2 proposal, they'll then take a look at it, or if all of a sudden a proposal's really getting engagement and it's such as like something like Cappy's, though, then they're going to pay attention, and then they might have a counter proposal. So what we discussed with the counter proposal is once a proposal gets to phase 2, it's in there for 7 days. So anyone can create a counter proposal in phase 1 then, and if that gets 50 likes or 50 votes, it then goes to phase 2 and goes to a poll runoff.
Yeah,
This
is not what this I think is definitely we should do. But we also talked about that you have in phase 2 the opportunity to have this multiple choice or several options, and then you have the runoff poll that to nail it down to 2, and then basically you could basically be stuck in phase 2 for 3 or 4 or 6 weeks even. Because you have a poll and it's not 100% decided. So maybe move this process to phase 1.
Yeah, I think we did discuss that, and maybe it wasn't. I didn't write it clear enough, but yeah. So like phase 2 has to be written as it's going Firefly. So
yeah,
that would be 2.
JD,
oh,
we're
losing you. Yeah.
I want to know what the
Yeah.
Can you go?
Yeah, but you write. You did also write. You did also write a good long text here, basically where you. Yeah.
Sure. But basically, like, if someone wants to know what the community thinks is the best solution, they do the multi-choice in phase 1. But when they go to phase 2, it's got to be that binary.
Ah, cool.
Now we'll still have if we do a poll runoff. If we do a poll runoff in phase 2, then we have a multi-choice, and then we just have to decide: are we going to do ranked choice or best of 2 or majority? Which I think that what we should do is do an example or a test poll to see both of those if we can.
Yeah, but with this, basically, you would avoid to having a runoff in phase 2. All the runoffs going to happen in phase 1, and in phase 2, you only put basically a binary decision that says, yeah, do the proposal or do it not, or do 7% or 5% or do nothing. But you basically will not need to do any more runoff polls in phase 2 because all the runoff things and multiple choices you basically move to phase 1, and then phase 2 is always clear. It's a 7-day poll. There are 2 options to choose, or maybe not even only one option or do nothing. And this is it's going like this into Firefly. Because this also means with phase 2, you already in the beginning, you can write the participation event, how it would come to Firefly. You don't need to do any edits. You don't need to do anything. You have already the vote prepared for Firefly when phase 2 starts, and you only see how is the outcome of the poll. And there's no runoff or stuff like this in phase 2 anymore. All moved to phase 1.
I mean, my only concern is that people aren't going to pay attention to phase one. Like, I mean, I didn't even pay attention to Kpi's proposal until like I saw it all over the place. And by that time, it was like essentially phase two moving on to Firefly. And then I was like, whoa, what's going on here? So I think, but again, phase two is only 7 days. So we did discuss how do you avoid this constant cycle of poll runoff, poll runoff, poll runoff.
Yeah.
So something goes into phase two, it's got 7 days. When that 7 days is done, any counter proposal gets put in for a poll runoff, but that's it. There's no more done deals. You get 7 days, that's it. You know, then it can't be like another 7 days, another 7 days, another 7 days.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that's only for counter proposals. I think counter
correct.
proposals we definitely should have this process still there. But for a normal proposal, and there's no counter proposal coming up, there shouldn't be a runoff and another poll in
Sure.
phase two. Yeah. I think
And
this
I mean,
would
in
make it
phase
really
one,
easier. Yeah.
and to me, hopefully what we see is people want their proposals to get accepted by the community. So if someone brings up a counter proposal in phase one, they should be discussing and say,
Yeah,
actually, I agree. How
absolutely.
about we adjust this? You
Yeah.
know, so
Because then
now
because
the big question is, in a Firefly vote, should it be binary or should it be A, B, or do nothing? And
yeah.
my example was like, let's take Kpi's proposal. So Kpi says, just for example, he says, let's give 10% community, 10% to IF. And then someone does a counter proposal and says, well, I think we should do 20% to the community because it's Shimmers, not 10% to the IF. So then they go, okay, well, let's put A or B, such as 10%, 10%, or 20%, and then C, do nothing in Firefly. So what will happen is whoever votes for A, 10%, 10%, and B, 20%, both those groups actually want an increase in supply. It's just how do they increase it? So we might see like a 30% A, 30% B, and 40% do nothing. So now the increased supply does not move on to, or does not get voted for because it's do nothing.
Yeah.
But if the option was just A, do nothing, or B, do nothing, it would probably be somewhere around 55%, 60%. So by not doing binary, I think potentially could lead to not passing a proposal through. So in my sense, it would be better to do the poll runoff that the community is choosing what they want to see binary. You know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm also very much in favor of this having not several of these options. If you want to have several, like you have two things and then you have one main, you need to define a rule that do nothing only wins if A and B have not more than together the sum of A and B is not more than do nothing. Yeah, so you have 30% in option A, 30% in option B, and then you have 40% in but together they would have 60% for changing the supply. Then basically the one that has higher will win even if do nothing has 40%. But this is again then like a special voting rule thing, might be too complex or might be we'll have to revisit this again, maybe also have to write it down a bit clearer.
We're doing a lot of revisiting.
Yeah.
What if just to try to get, man, it does seem like we want to kick this things off. If we go with binary and then basically the poll runoff is going to really find community consensus.
Yeah.
And if we find we want to do more complex voting,
I'm happy with that.
We can implement that in the 12 months, you know.
Yeah. How is everybody else in the meeting feeling? Do you think kind of binary in Firefly really makes sense and nail down the stuff mainly in phase one and have really only like the chance of a counter proposal and a runoff in phase two, but basically also have phase two pretty much binary as it would be in phase three and have the discussions and the different choices and all the stuff happening in phase one? so that we have really clear and also kind of easy, understandable proposals in phase 2 that will make it a clear and good thing in phase 3 without being too confusing for the people.
Makes it seem more efficient. Yeah, binary option. I would agree with for sure.
Let's keep it. Let's put it a bit like this. So it's like, yeah, if somebody really has over the next days put some thoughts, we can always open this again. But if it feels good for us, maybe we can start with this. Few weeks of test voting once the framework is finished in order to see what kind of activity we would have. Yes, the only question would be basically, do we think we get activity for votes that are kind of really not like, yeah, for like votes for fun? Maybe we could make an event out of it and have like, then we would have, maybe we can put up some prizes or stuff like this, yeah, to have some fun votes in the community to test our framework. Oh, maybe basically we can we can give out some NFTs or stuff like this. Yes.
That's a good idea too. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because this basically then will. I was just thinking, kind of, how do you engage people to take part in test voting things that basically mean nothing for them? It's not like you're testing Firefly beta version or stuff like this where people really engage. But if we can, I'll check with Mark. Maybe we can really spin up some, or with Antonio, we can spin up some fun events that get the community engaged.
If there's a community member that would like to like do an art NFT that looks really cool, maybe like 3, like gold, silver, and bronze, for some sort of participation KPI metrics, or maybe it would just be like a random draw that once people participate. And I noticed in Aave, the guy said that too, that you know they have different basically lottery / random KPI metrics. You know, if you've spent the most time in the governance, for that quarter, they get something, a prize. And I think that's a really great idea, bringing participation.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll figure out something out with Antonio and with Mark. Maybe the EDF can. Well, but this would be maybe a nice thing that we can maybe have 2, 3 test votes for fun, where people that take part in it, and we make like a lottery and give out some prizes or stuff like this. Also, it's nice because then people can practice and get used to the framework and to used to the process and stuff like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so then we are basically, yes, we do a test week. We just have to make clearer how and what we can do. KPI matrix that can be used to determine the success or the failure of a discussion. This is
that's pretty much the same thing with 50 likes, 50
likes
votes
and votes.
100 votes.
That's the thing. I think we got this, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Is everyone, just to kind of, it would be nice to have it solved. Like, are we okay with sort of what we discussed? Like, if it's a vote, each poll, even in phase 1, has to have do nothing. And if for a poll to move to phase 2, it has to get at least 50 votes for the positive move to phase 2 option, or 50 likes if they don't put a poll. Are people happy with that? I mean, is someone really should we readdress that or put an action meeting to discuss that? And it's just a starting point. We can always adjust it.
It sounds a little high to me based on the current number of users we have, but I think it's a good starting point. It can always be changed.
Yeah, can always be
what if we
upped.
Yeah. What if we set it for 50, and then at 60 days, or I like what you said, Philo, after 5 active polls, we reassess.
Yeah.
or 3 active
Or
polls, one or the
3
other.
maybe. 3 basically would
3.
be 3 polls will be 1.5, nearly 2, 1.5 month. Yeah, that's like 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's perfect.
yeah.
What do you think about that, Digital Soul?
Yeah, I like that. Sounds like a good happy medium. Reassess.
Cool. All right. Solved.
Okay, I call it now seasons. So then the thing was I think also we kind of solved this, that phase 3 basically is only an announcement post that the vote in Firefly will happen. Yeah, all the stuff happens in phase 1 and phase 2, and phase 3 is not going to be another post by the proposer. It's just a moderator says, okay, phase 2, the poll was successful. Next Thursday, the Firefly vote will happen because we have checked all requirements are met. The event is created, everything is ready. Here is our announcement for the next vote that will happen in a couple of days.
Yeah, also I wanted to address something at this point. I think for Firefly votes, we should not like immediately push out a vote when it's ready for phase 3, but instead we should work on actually batching the votes. So maybe every 2 months there is a vote in Firefly with everything that piled up to that point, because otherwise you'd have to constantly follow, and maybe every 2 weeks there's another Firefly event, and people will just lose interest if it happens too often.
Yeah, we basically we have this time frame. So basically, yes, there would be most of the time every 2 weeks a new Firefly vote, because if you do only every 2 months a decision, I think personally that's too long, especially in a new network with changing stuff like this. And so if there is, especially if there is a good idea and maybe even a very important decision to do, and we all kind of say, okay, basically, it would be good time to change this stuff now, and then you have to wait 2 months until you can change it. Maybe, I don't know.
We have to just look at this, because especially if there's smaller stuff coming also.
So
because there shouldn't. I think it's not good, especially if we might run into a period with more with a lot of activity on the forum where there are lots of suggestions, and there should not constantly be a vote, and there's the next vote 4 days later or so on, because then people are just going to lose interest and it's going to become too much.
Should I show you the calendar basically? Where is it?
And while Silo's getting the calendar, I remember in Aave, they were saying, they do 20,000 and below votes or proposals. Now this is like treasury stuff, but grants. But 20,000 and below, like they can approve within 7 days. So I think, there is that need for fast approval on certain things, which in my mind, it'd be good to test that framework. But yeah, maybe after seeing the calendar, if it's still undecided, maybe we could put it to a vote to the group.
So this is basically the calendar for 2023. Yeah, kind of starting in January. Maybe we should start not on the 2nd of January with a poll, but just to have it there. So you would start with a poll that goes 7 days, and 3 days later on Thursday, the vote about this poll, or maybe there have been several polls in this week, will happen. Yeah, the vote is 7 days pre-vote, which can be adjusted, but I always took here the 7 days pre-vote, and then the Thursday after the counting starts. Yeah, so you vote, basically, if you are following the stuff, you vote here on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. You wait, and then basically 2 weeks later on the next Thursday, you would have potentially another vote if there have been a poll and all this stuff, and if there even have been a topic. So basically, this would kind of be the thing. You have Thursday you have the vote, and 2 weeks later you could have another vote. Yeah, February would be similar then. You end there, and then you have the Thursday again another vote, and basically in March again, Thursday you vote, you have a poll, you have the poll is finished, and always 3 days after the poll is finished, the vote for this poll will happen. Because also the thing is, if you have polls and things, and then really people have like they say, okay, we made a poll, we decided on something, and then normally they also want to vote on it, kind of. Otherwise, there are like 6 weeks in between, and everything has changed maybe, and yeah, I don't know if this will not cause some troubles, but maybe we can do three. Yeah, we should think about uh, good timings for these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this stuff has to do with the type of proposals. Like if it's engaging content that people are going to be interested in to be discussing, like on Discord and Reddit and fighting on Twitter and stuff. But if it's more kind of dry stuff about like naming and labeling, then I can see Linus's point where, you know, every 2 weeks it's like votes on stuff that I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start like ignoring the notifications,
Yeah.
But if it's like there's always like arguments going on and discussions and stuff, and it's like engaging, stuff that the community is interested in, then I could see like every 2 weeks. Otherwise, I can see Linus's point where it could get kind of like, oh, just
Yeah, I definitely also see it. Um, I think we also have to see basically in Shimmer there are not much topics that the community can vote in the first 6 months or a year or something. Yeah, so there are just really a few metrics. I basically don't think that we will have more than I don't know, eight 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 votes in a year in Shimmer at all that make it into Firefly, something like this, because in a moment it's really still limited. Only if we would then have treasury and stuff like this, might be coming other stuff, but about the general protocol framework, yeah, so these are actually basically only optional slots that these votes only happen on these days if there are proposals basically submitted and polls successful.
And just to clarify, so the proposer, once it goes to phase 2, it's there for 7 days.
Yeah.
And then after that 7 days, if it goes to phase 3, it's basically just waiting for that next voting day, right?
Yeah. So here you have the poll starting on Monday, basically going 7 days. So the next Monday the poll is finished, and then you prepare the notes. You make everything ready. Yeah.
What if someone puts the
if it was bundled with the treasury votes, because then I think people would be interested in getting engaged and stuff. So at some point, if these Fireflies, these governance voting on Firefly actually included the treasury votes together, this schedule.
Yeah, there should be like
there should be an alignment, yeah.
An alignment. Because I already thought about when we were for the treasury voting, I already said that we actually should align it with assembly staking, because that's a point where a lot of people are going to look into their wallets.
Yeah.
And then I don't think that more than one interaction every 1 or 2 weeks standard. We might deviate from that if there's significant reasons for that.
Right, we're gonna get DeFi. You're gonna have your Firefly in your mobile. You're gonna use it every day, my friend, as a proper DeFi user soon.
So,
yeah, but the thing is, I am going to have tokens on my mobile, but I'm also going to have tokens on my ledger that lies. Guess where?
So what if we set it for 3 months to reassess, and maybe by that time the treasury governance is finished, and then potentially can adjust it. That or what fund?
I think a lot of this stuff is, if you align it with the treasury votes, then the 2 weeks is probably going to be fine, right?
Yeah,
But
we should.
if it's
There should not be too many. I think we should go with this 2 weeks system. I think it's good. But in this case, there really should not be anything else for users to do. I guess we could get other projects to align with that as well, with our schedule.
Yeah, it will make sense.
Because they of course also want participation, and then it works out.
Yeah, you know, I just saw this on the because the content creator DAO basically brought up this idea. They have their voting weekends. Yeah, they have like, I don't know, they have like every 2 weeks, like they have 2 times a month. So they have all their discussions, and then they bundle their votes to 2 weekends. They have, yeah, you know, okay, you have from Friday until Monday, you have time to vote on this, and then 2 weeks later you're gonna have a couple of other proposals, and they always, you have this fixed dates. You know, every Monday or every second Monday, a poll will be coming up in the forum. You can check it out, you can vote on it, and every Thursday, every 2 weeks, you can vote on something in your Firefly wallet, something new. Bang. Yeah. So the rest of the time you really don't need to care about anything, but you have these fixed things. Okay, I check Monday in the forum. Is there? Oh, cool. There's a new poll. I can read up on it. Sounds interesting. I got my vote, and then a week later, the Thursday after this, I can vote on this thing in my Firefly wallet. Yeah.
Can you show the calendar again?
Yeah.
So, and maybe we can just say in 3 months to reassess, and also to try to align this with other ecosystem voting processes like Treasury Fund or whatever else, whatever other DAOs.
Okay. So the votes are always started. Just a question. So with the votes, we are going, not the poster votes, we are going with 1 week commencing and 1 week voting, right?
It could be. I mean, it could be short. I put it there. I think for. I think that definitely the counting 7 days is a good thing. Yeah, it's still our protection against any kind of strange whale behavior or something.
Yeah.
I think we could be flexible and say, okay, we make only 3 days pre-vote or something like this. If don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It could be, especially if it's during the week, because I think there should be a fair chance for everybody to get his tokens in the pre-vote.
That's the thing.
We need 1 week for that, because people, especially if people are maybe on leave for work, so they are in a different town for the entire work, and then if you start on Monday maybe, and then it ends on Thursday, and then you can't pre-vote because you don't take the ledger with you.
Oh, I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
1 week pre-vote is for phase 2. It's not that important, because I haven't tried this course on mobile yet, but this is easier, I think.
If
getting out your ledger is a different thing.
Yeah, so like if Firefly is being spun off, then is this going to be happening on TanglePay and other wallets and stuff?
I don't know. It will always happen in Firefly. So I mean, Firefly will not disregard this feature. Basically, I mean, it's like.
No, I was saying,
but of course,
Firefly
others can implement this. Like I said, Sooniverse can implement this stuff. TanglePay, I don't know. We get other wallets. We maybe will build a website, a dashboard, where you can vote via a web interface like MetaMask and stuff like this. All this stuff can come.
That's what I was asking. If TanglePay and Sooniverse and the other whatever wallets pop up in the community could.
And for them, it doesn't matter, because the events happen in the nodes, and every wallet can grab the event, the vote from the nodes, and can display it. Yeah, so it's like it doesn't really rely and depend on Firefly. Whoever builds a wallet, whoever builds a website with a wallet functionality, stuff like this, using the libraries, can basically display votes and make voting possible.
Hey, Father, so
Yeah.
what would happen if a section of the community, they formed another forum
Mhm.
beyond the forum that we created, right?
Mhm.
And then what would they have to do to get their votes? They just have to get the node operators to agree to
Uh,
their governance?
Everybody, you don't need all the node operators. Basically, if you want to make votes, you only need actually one node. Would be not optimal, but one node have this event, and then you just tell your voters, you tell, okay, please connect your wallet to this node, and then you can make a vote on that. Yeah, so it's completely
Okay.
independent from the IF basically, but of course, I think we can agree or we can come to an agreement with the IOTA Foundation that says, okay, we have now designed this Shimmer governance process. All votes that went through this defined process elected by the community with the forum, with the specifications set here, they will be displayed by the official IOTA Foundation nodes in the official Firefly IOTA Foundation wallet. This
I
does.
guess what I'm asking,
Mhm.
is, let's say I have a project, right? And it's a project that's being run on Shimmer or on IOTA mainnet
Yeah,
once assembly is up, right? And I want to do my DAO governance
yeah,
on Firefly, right?
yeah.
So then, is it up to me? Is it up to the project to approach each node? Like, how would that work?
You basically would run your own nodes. So basically, you just would spin up 2, 3 nodes, or even one node would be enough. It's not the super, yeah, but if people trust you, one node would be enough. And then you will tell your voters the address of this node, like we have it now with Tangle Bay or whatever. You say HTTPS API.tanglebay. Whatever, and the people put up this node in Firefly in the settings, and then they are connected with you, with your project, and they can take part in your vote. And even
Could
this could even
Fire,
be simple, could even be automated maybe in Firefly that you.
right? So
Yeah.
could it be like let's say my project DAO has an icon, right? And it's like
Mhm.
a phoenix, right?
Yeah.
So then could it be a section in Firefly where if people wanted to go vote on my governance on the Phoenix governance, they
Yeah.
just press that button and then it'll
I
connect to that node?
I don't think that Firefly will make such a super easy thing, because basically we will maybe have 2000 projects, and then Firefly would need to keep track of all these icons and have. It's like very likely we will we will go to and have something like a node dashboard and stuff like that. Then this is too much, I think, for Firefly to implement all these different projects on like a nice looking UI, because you really need to only need to copy the address of the node from the website of the project. You put it in Firefly, you connect, and then you can vote on that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is stuff we have. Yeah, the announcement phase. Um, Definition of the trust level functionality in the forum. I think can DIDs be incorporated to this? Currently not. And the trust levels we have been talking about and defined. Don't know. I think this is a bit of a repeating thing of something that we had before already. I, I, I click it as solved, or do we have something more here? Continue discussions. These are the trust levels defined. We had a meeting. We basically have set the matrix for the trust levels. Sounds like we got
I
this.
think the point is that
Yeah.
we've got the trust levels set, and then as DID proof of reputation systems get proven, and we could always integrate them. I think just currently there isn't anything
Yeah.
proven, right?
Yeah.
But they will be. They're definitely in process. So I think when they are, and we can do integrations with Discourse, and we can certainly vote on that and try to do that.
Yeah. Definitely. As soon as stuff is technically available, then it will just need a proposal and a discussion and a vote on it, and then it can be added to this framework. What do we have here? Should we have requirements on who will be allowed to vote in a poll, compared to be someone that is just part of the forum? I think we defined that this will be somebody that has trust level 1. Yeah?
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely. Talked about it a couple of times already. Solved. Then we have something administration. What is possible in Discord to define trust level for having several ways of login? Give recommendations on if and which of these levels we should use. What other social media platforms can support this? Yeah, we've talked about that. Should we basically make it solved now, or should we kind of postpone it
Yeah,
or
I mean,
revisit?
there was
Yeah.
3 questions all under trust level that kind of asked different things, but we discussed it all in one. But it's the same thing. It's just saying that, right now Discord is only the kind of technical integration that we could use, and then
Yeah.
that kind of segregates the rest of the social media community. So we'll just stick with Discourse, and then as new technical abilities are created, we can always add them later. And then,
Yeah. If
and I think
somebody,
when there's enough fair integrations, then we could definitely
yes,
integrate Discord
yeah.
if we wanted
If
to.
somebody builds a plugin for something, pretty sure, because this is the cool thing in Discourse, you can code all kind of plugins yourself and stuff like that. And so if somebody is building something like this, it can just be added to the server basically. Yeah. Set up Discourse login abilities to offer multi-accounting protection. We haven't really talked about this. We have already some stuff in place. So basically, we have, I just added this. I have added some blacklists of email domain providers. So I think we are now currently blocking 600 to 700 email domain providers that are known to be used as easy multi and spam emails and stuff like this. We have IP lookups, we have rate limiters for new users, we have quite a lot of the usual security tools in place already. But definitely we can still always refine this, and I'm basically also looking for stuff like all the things that we basically have in our Discord server, where with the bot that basically also detects if you're using a VPN or if you, yeah, stuff like that. So basically we should look out for having the best possible protection against all kind of unwanted spam and multi-accounting. And I will basically, have next week, I have a meeting with our DevOps team, and maybe they have some ideas how we can basically increase the security of the login process to make really sure that we don't get any bots or stuff like this flooding new users and things like this. So this is stuff I'm still talking about and working on basically with the DevOps, and to find some more useful tools that can make it even harder for anybody to create multiple accounts there.
Yeah, although we will never be able to fully prevent that,
Nah.
that's also not the goal. If we see manipulation of votes
Yeah.
in bigger forms, like there are clearly bots that people, I don't think, can you like see who voted for which topic?
Yes, we can make this a requirement basically. So I basically think we should also, can Asa maybe put it in the notes, that we can require that voters in a poll are visible. So there's an option. If you create a poll, you can make
Yeah, perfect. Because
yeah.
polls are only created by moderators for stage 2. Because bots post that, then we can just check that. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And
then we
Mhm.
could somebody could do a plugin where we run down and analyze who's voting and how active they are on the forum. And if we have suspicion that there are bots, like people who vote all the time but have never posted anything.
Yeah.
And if this happens a lot, of course there could be lurkers that just vote. Then we would have to change our requirements maybe.
Yeah. But this, I think we will see,
Yeah.
really have to see it on the way. I talked with the Bankless people also, and they basically said that they have actually no issues at all with stuff like this. It's
Yeah, I
maybe,
mean,
yeah,
it's not. The good thing is that phase 2 is not the final phase, because the worst
yeah,
thing that could happen is somebody creates 200 bots over a time frame, then votes his poll to Firefly, and then it gets destroyed there, because it's totally not in the interest of the
yeah.
community.
This is what we want to avoid. Yeah.
Yeah, this should be avoided. It cannot be fully avoided, obviously, because trustable 1 can be reached without too much. As intended, we don't want to block people out.
Yeah.
And you don't need to actually post or like anything on the forum. It's just viewing. We could go for trustable 2 for 2 votes if there's really too much, but then we would have to check, because that one requires interaction on the forum, and then it's going to be much more limited.
Yep.
But I don't think we should go with this yet.
No, we will also see this.
Yeah. Higher trust levels are not an option, because I don't know if somebody ran down the trust levels already while I was gone.
I think we just basically said
Yeah,
we're gonna. I think we just said we're basically going to go with trust level 0 and 1 at first, and then as we get activity and data, we can start looking at if we need trust level 2, 3, 4, etc.
We are probably not. Trust level 3 is pretty hard to reach, because you have to make lots of posts and be very active.
We have nobody in trust level 3. Even after this many years of research activity, not even Hans or Angelo have reached trust level 3. So that's pretty high
there's a
requirements.
requirement. You have to enter half of the topics that are posted within 100 days, and so phase 3 are basically super active people. The top few percent that are really on everything and post and reply to everything.
Yeah.
Because you can, the difference with trust level 3 is you can also lose that status again. You can't lose 1 or 2.
Guys, because we've been doing like an hour and 40 minutes.
Absolutely.
And I think we got all the questions solved that we discussed in the action groups Friday and Monday.
Yeah.
I know Asa was talking about doing an action group tomorrow to go over the process of finalizing this, getting IF approval, kind of going live. Are people interested in joining that?
What time?
Asa, what time were you thinking?
For me, it could be any time. I mean, sometime. I don't know if the afternoon. Oh no, because you're in the U.S., right? So I have to 4 o'clock could work, or I mean, also Monday, if that would work better for you, would also be possible, or 5, or whatever time works for you.
Me,
I don't know how many people would be interested in attending.
Yeah, so for me, I can't. This would then be the 5th 11 or 12 o'clock evening meeting in this week. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do this tomorrow. I can do stuff in my morning, like the US evening. JD or Andy or somebody, if you're interested, but or maybe we really didn't do it on Monday, or we basically try also to solve stuff in the chat. Yeah.
Why don't we?
We have something on Monday evening though.
Yeah, I thought we can do it before. Maybe. Yeah.
What if we, Asa? What if we talk Monday morning this time, the same time this started,
and then we'll get something together, and then you can go and discuss that with Philo, because I know there's a lot of IF integration there. So I think it'll probably be something that might take 1 or 2 meetings. And then, as we really only have a couple questions, maybe this weekend we look at how we can group them into the last act meetings and then knock them out, and then really we're just looking at finalizing everything and going live.
Yeah. That sounds good. So yeah, let's meet here then the same time on Monday in the same call.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Very, very good, guys. I'm also very happy, and it's also very late already. So I think we finish it here. And thanks everybody. This was again very, very productive. See you then on probably Monday, yeah? Okay.
All right, see you guys Monday.
All right,
Thank you.
guys.